Welcome back, welcome to another Tales from the Workshop. As you can see, I'm back in London now after the trip to San Francisco for the Windup Watch Fair. I actually ended up staying on for a further week after the Windup Watch Fair to cycle from San Francisco down to Los Angeles. I did it over 5 days, so they were quite long days in the saddle, but I got to see some really off the beaten path parts of California and experience it in a really different way. I also have to say that the traffic was super respectful to cyclists over there, and it was a really enjoyable experience all around. I'm just catching up with everything back in the workshop. Last week we attended the Watch Collectors Club event in Glasgow. This was the first time that they've run the event in that city, and I understand from Jesse and Veronica, who were representing us there, that it was a really good day and they met some really interesting people. So thank you to everyone who came and said hello on the day. While I was away in San Francisco at the Windup Watch Fair, Kristof Devos, who is the designer of A Perfectly Useless Afternoon, amongst several other watches in our collection, paid us a visit from Belgium. He was on a trip over to London. It's always really nice when any of the designers come into the workshop and interact with the printing team and the assembly team. Like, it's a really fulfilling exchange from both sides. I know everyone really enjoys that, and we got to work with him a little bit on something that I'll show you later in this episode. Just having a bit of time to reflect on San Francisco Windup Watch Fair. Like, it was a really successful show for us, even more successful than the New York show that we did last autumn. We're not entirely sure all of the reasons for that. I think part of it might possibly be because a number of companies had pulled out of the show. Like, as far as I understand, some people had dropped out at the last minute, possibly due to like tariff issues and so forth. But we were blown away with how well we did, and indeed we sold through pretty much all of the stock that we'd taken with us for the show, which was amazing. Like, obviously that's the dream at any event that you attend. The San Francisco special edition was super popular. As I was saying in the last video that I recorded on the Saturday morning, which was the start of day 2, that was nearly sold out by the end of day 1, and indeed by lunchtime of day 2 that had completely sold. We do have tentative plans to attend the Windup Watch Fair in Chicago, which is around the weekend of the 12th of July this year. And if we do, then we'll definitely do another special edition number cruncher for it, and maybe produce a slightly larger edition than the 25 pieces that we took for San Francisco for that show. So thanks to all the people who came to the stand and all of the interactions that we had. Like I was saying in the video last time, it's a really interesting time for me to interact with the customers because I'm not around the customers directly. I often don't hear feedback, both good and bad. Like, it's really instructive, and it really prompts like a moment of reflection for me, like after the shows, about what we could do better, what things people really value about what we're doing and what we get right and what we maybe need to work on. So thank you to all the people who came to the show. I actually lost my voice, as I did in New York, by day 3 of the show. I'm really not used to talking at that sort of volume to so many people for such an extended period of time. And I need to really find a way to not lose my voice. In fact, even now, it's not quite back to normal, and that's nearly 2 weeks on from the show. So yeah, I need to figure out a way. If any of you have some great tips for not losing your voice from doing trade shows, then maybe put them in the comments below.
Record it. You can hold it down. Yeah, so it's doing a video now. So
a few things that have been happening in the workshop since I was last recording here. So we did the release of Continuum, the Jacqueline Colley design. That was a super popular release for us. I think the overall sales were just over 350 pieces, which is a really strong release. It's now a really strong candidate for being reissued. What we tend to do is see how many people sign up to the waiting list. Like, when a limited edition sells through, there's always a holding page that stays on the website with a link that says, sign me up to be notified when the watch is reissued. But as I say, I feel like it's a really strong candidate. Also at the Windup Watch Fair, there were lots of people who came to the stand who mentioned it, who were excited about it, who were really interested in it. We really love the design, but then we really love all the designs. Like genuinely, we don't release stuff unless we really love it. So it can be difficult, you know, to make those calls on what gets reissued and what doesn't. Okay, one of the other things that we've been working on in the past few weeks is a revision to the Perfectly Used This Afternoon mechanical edition. So I had this idea that it would be nice to differentiate the quartz and the mechanical versions of A Perfectly Used This Afternoon a bit more. Like, A Perfectly Used This Afternoon is our hands down bestseller, and it's got this like super clean rendering of the artwork. Like it looks, I guess, like maybe the reference would be sort of Hergé's artwork for Tintin. Like it's super flat, super clean. There's not a strong difference between the mechanical version, which I'm showing here, and the quartz version. The only real difference is that the base colour of the dial on the mechanical version is a sort of anodized metallic effect. And obviously you also have the Swiss mechanical movement powering it that you can see through the case back, and the case is the slightly larger 40mm diameter. So I had an idea that maybe we could revisit Kristof's original artwork for the design, which was hand rendered in pencil and then scanned in and then worked on digitally. So I thought maybe the mechanical version should become like the artist edition, where it was that original sort of sketch artwork rather than the more refined sort of smooth edged version. So we got Kristof to dig out the original files, and he worked up some different colour palettes and versions for it. And we've printed up a couple of different iterations. I have to say, I was kind of disappointed, like not disappointed technically with how we'd captured the artwork, because actually we've done a really good job and it's got that hand rendered quality. It's more that it doesn't feel very premium. It feels like a children's book illustration now, rather than a sort of, I guess like this kind of archetypal scene that the smooth-edged version does. I guess I'd liken it to if you went to a sort of theme restaurant and they'd printed out hand-drawn characters and had them around the space. It kind of feels like that. Like it just feels false somehow. Like it doesn't feel like this is actually Kristof's artwork that was hand-drawn. I mean, there's a different colour version, which also has a slightly different version of the dial, which is a bit more kind of, I guess, like dappled. It's trying to make more of a sort of watercolour effect. And also there's like the pink ring. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Like, I had really high hopes for how it was going to look, and I really don't like the result, how it's come out. It just doesn't feel like it's conveying the sort of spirit of Kristof's artwork as I'd hoped. I did have a thought that maybe it was to do with the dial, so this and the glass printing. So this version is basically the hand-rendered character in the ring and the hand-rendered duck, but the regular glass and dial. Even that though, my feeling is it's not an improvement on the original design, so why would we pursue it? I guess like all experiments, there's useful things that we learn from it. So we've learned a lot of stuff about processing this bitmap artwork and creating that pencil hand-drawn effect that maybe we can use on a different design in future, like maybe a design where this is really the sort of the essence of it. This is something that we can implement. But I think for now, these samples will remain just as they are, samples. It's not something that we're thinking to take forward. I mean, I'm interested to hear people's comments. If people feel really strongly that it's an interesting avenue to pursue, we could potentially do like a special edition that was in this sort of hand-rendered style. Yeah, maybe it's useful for us to have in the shop to show people, to get that sort of direct feedback and stuff on the design. But if you have thoughts or opinions on it, I would welcome hearing them in the comments below. I read all the comments and I respond to most of them directly. So if you've got something to share, I'm super interested to hear it. So please share it. As always, I hope it was interesting and I look forward to seeing you next week.